Swasti Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Saishwaraya Vidmahi Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sahna Vavatu Sahno Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Asato ma sagamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukh Bhag Bhave. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shri Sai Ram. Good evening and welcome to day 34 of the Atma Chalisa Parayanam. So yesterday we discussed about a state of being where you are operating from a state of neutrality, where you're operating from what we call as choiceless awareness, where we are fully aware of the consciousness. We are aware, alert, and fully attentive to this consciousness. And we do not any particular preferences, ideas, or a particular way of being. We are in that zone of neutrality where we are just being, and yet at the same time, because we are connected to the consciousness, because we are connected to the source, and because we are connected to the supreme intelligence, we feel that we are ready for all that may come in our life, and that we are ready and prepared and equipped to deal with all the so-called challenges and situations and peoples and events and whatever else comes in our life. We are ready for it. And we are neither running away from anything, nor we are running forward towards anything. We are in a state of readiness. And this readiness comes from our connection, our familiarity, our oneness with this consciousness. And that, along with the power of gratitude, which becomes a way of life for us, we start attracting all that is good. Or as the Veda says, all that is Shubham, all that is auspicious, all that is good, that starts to make a beeline towards us. As if there is a certain magnet inside of us, as if there is some nectar inside of us, and all the honeybees want to come towards us. We start attracting nature, because actually we are not different from nature. We are part and parcel of that. And this connectedness, therefore, takes us to that point which we call as stillness. So I want you to take you today on this journey of going deeper and deeper inside, and this depth of our own self, which is by itself expansive, by itself vast, is a space of stillness. A stillness which is how we experience this consciousness. It is not that stillness that comes out of lack of movement. It is that stillness which is inherent in the motion, because consciousness is always freely flowing. So consciousness is in an inherent state of movement, and it is moving all around, and consciousness in movement is expressed as Jagat, what we see around us. However, the innate quality or the innate essence of consciousness is stillness. Again, the contradiction comes. There is stillness in the flow. There is a stillness in the movement. This stillness we do not experience by becoming motionless or sitting in mere meditation. This stillness is experienced when we get connected to the source of our consciousness. We feel still inside while everything is going around us. And this stillness is born out of the receptacle of silence. Silence which is not because of the lack or absence of noise. It is a silence which is there despite all noise around us, because this is the very nature of consciousness. It's still, it's silent. And this stillness and silence is the experience that some of us have started to gather whenever we are in that state of connection. And so this is a beautiful space that lies beyond the mind, a space of absolute calmness and stillness. And this stillness feels like almost like a void or a vacuum, which produces this silence. And as I said, it's not a physical silence, but it's just an inner experience. So feel this inner silence where there is something that becomes shant, that becomes absolutely peaceful, that becomes absolutely still and silent. And it is so expansive, this silence, that as you keep going within, it just keeps sucking you inside. And the deeper you go, the more you get enveloped by this stillness. This is the place where the true self reveals itself in its full radiance and brilliance. So it's as if the pearl of the self, the shining light of the self, reveals itself to us in this darkness of this void, of this vacuum. It's like the most brilliant shining star that is there all around us. And we become aware of consciousness that is untainted, pristine, pure, and absolutely harmonious. It is blending in this darkness, and yet it is full of light. It's the stark darkness of that void which creates the beauty and majesty of this brilliant radiance of the self. And again, the contradiction plays itself, but so beautifully. And you realize that that is how it is. That's how the play is. The light comes out of the darkness, and a connection with the self gets established. All restlessness of the body, mind, and it ends, and you feel contented, you feel complete, whole, and absolutely fulfilled. And the experience is of an energetic presence that is all-knowing, is skillful. At first, the connection is intermittent. We see it, we don't see it, we see it. And slowly, over time, this experience becomes a constant. And one becomes comfortable with this consciousness. And as our awareness grows, and as we keep going into this ocean and this depths of silence, we start getting connected to this unknown source of wisdom that always seems to know. And the intuitive knowingness is the connection of this inner consciousness with this whole universal consciousness. It's as if that darkness that we have seen, that void, is actually the universal consciousness. And from it brightly sports forward this consciousness. And yet it is feeding it. And yet it is giving us all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the understanding. And we feel so comfortable with this duality. We feel so comfortable of the presence of the darkness. No longer does it bring fear. No longer does it scare us. And we understand that everything is born out of this duality. It is the center of everything, and it is a part of who we truly are. And therefore, we understand that all the play that happens outside of us is the play of consciousness within. And so, therefore, all the duality outside of us is part of that same oneness. And it's a play. It's just a projection. It's just a manifestation. And we understand that the entire control is within and not outside. And as we start to be in this stillness and we remain in this connectedness, our world outside starts to magically change, because the play of this consciousness, of the individual consciousness or the Jivatma and the Paramatman or the divine consciousness, it starts to merge. The boundaries start to blur between dark and light, and everything becomes that one light. And this mergence takes place. And the feeling is that, like that of a child who finally comes home to his or her mother and gets access to the mother's love, mother's wisdom, and most importantly, the mother's protection. And you know you are safe. You know the mother is going to take care of you. And to experience this oneness is the quintessential search, all of us, every human being, to remain in the light of this awareness and to perform the dharma of this body is actually the essence of self-realization, the goal that we have taken for ourselves, the goal of life. And to perform all actions in the noise and din of this world with the inner stillness born out of detachment is the attribute of a Jivan Mukta or a liberated being. Such a person is not bound by the consequences of her or his actions. For such a person, the head is in the forest and the hands in the society. The heads in the forest means absolute stillness, as if meditating in the silence of a dense forest, not distracted by any vagaries of the mind. And hands in the society, willing to serve, willing to ever perform service to all those who are in need. We all have been born with some gift that has been given to each one of us. That's the gift we have come to share with everyone, because everyone is a reflection of our own self. And once we are comfortable in the stillness, when we are connected to this source, when we get comfortable with this darkness, when we get comfortable of operating in the silence amidst all the noise, then we always eternally remain at home, liberated from all that the mind had been doing, which kept bringing us back into this life. The whole cycle of birth and death completely comes to an end. So for each one of us, this die has been cast, the mold has been set. We have all dived deeper and deeper by every passing day. And those pieces of ourselves that we were experiencing have all come together now into this state of beingness, into this state of consciousness, in this state of understanding our experiences and knowing that we are in an absolute zone of safety because we have come in connection with the Lord Almighty, the God Supreme, that consciousness to whom we have been praying for all this while, to whose guidance we have been seeking, for whom we have been willing to do all that it takes. That guider, that one to whom we have prayed, has now majestically revealed itself as none other than the self, as none other than our own consciousness. And so I pay tribute to that supreme consciousness which resides in each one of us, to that consciousness which has brought us today together, which has brought us this understanding, which has brought us this experience, and which is now telling us that this is it, that the stillness is not in the words, that this stillness is being experienced by all. Words are poor communicators. Words do not express the extent of our feeling. So if you were to just close your eyes for the next 5 minutes, experience the depths of the stillness as you go deeper and deeper into the source of this consciousness, towards this black hole, towards this void, towards this vacuum, towards the all-pervading consciousness. शांति 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 समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्री साई ईश्वराय अर्पणमस्तु। Sai Ram.